Whole hog on the rotisserie, spit roasted with Greek island herbs. Brazilian style rib roast, stuffed with sausage and cheese and spit roasted to a turn. Moroccan lamb ribs, the Berber spice paste explodes with flavor. It's meat cooked to a turn. I'm Stephen Raichlen, and from the beautiful Esplendor Resort in southern Arizona, it's time to grill. Today I have a special surprise for you. I'm going to take you behind the scenes here at Primal Grill and show you the big kahuna, the dish that separates the men from the boys, the masters from the novices. I'm talking about a whole spit-roasted hog. I first experienced this particular spit-roasted hog on the island of Kea in Greece. The flavorings were utterly simple: salt, pepper, and oregano, squeeze of lemon juice, a little bit of olive oil. When the pitmaster sunk his cleaver into the finished hog, it crackled audibly. That's how crisp the skin was. To help me with the pig, my friend Jeff Klock. Jeff runs the behind-the-scenes kitchen here at Primal Grill and is also the food and beverage director at the Esplendor Hotel where we're filming. Well, Jeff, tell me about our pig.
We've got a 50-pound hog here.
And where did you get it?
From our local butcher shop.
Okay, pre-ordered ahead of time?
Pre-ordered it the day before.
And you got it.
Got
Bingo.
it this morning.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the rub. It's a typical Greek rub. Starts with salt, equal parts freshly ground pepper, and dried oregano. And I'll mix these ingredients with my fingers. This is the basic rub you find everywhere in Greece. Okay, so I'm gonna suit up too. Jeff, how many days did it take you to get ready for the Primal Grill shoot here?
About a month.
And how many people do we have on the set working on this?
Roughly 25.
25 people, my God. Okay.
Some are coming and going.
Okay, turn the hog over. So the first step is we're going to season the inside cavity with about half of the rub. So I'll just sort of toss it in here. Okay, put a little bit of rub in the front cavity. I'll get the spit. So what we're going to do, Jeff, you'll help me out here. We'll insert the spit, okay, and then run it out the other end. The next step, using butcher's twine on a large needle, is to stitch the hog to the spit. The main challenge of grilling a whole hog is that it's hollow, so you need to tie it very tightly to the spit so it will stay in place as the spit turns. I'll lift it up from this side.
Give it a little quarter turn.
What you want to do is stick in the needle and come out the other side. Pull the needle through the skin, and then you'll come in the other side. And Jeff's using a pair of pliers to pull the needle through on the other side. Pull it up tight, great. Next thing we want to do is fill the cavity with lemon halves. And then we're going to stitch the cavity shut. You can find these large trussing needles at any butcher supply house. And then, Jeff, you're going to tie the legs tightly to the body. The idea is to make the hog as compact and as cylindrical as possible. If you'll lift this up now, Jeff. All right, I'll put on the second set of prongs, and they just slide over. Line up the hole. Okay, then there is a bearing that goes on the end of the spit. Okay, so what you want to do now is put the hog in the rotisserie and rotate around here to line up the hole with the rotisserie motor. Insert the pin through the hole and tighten this up. At this point, brush the hog on all sides with extra virgin olive oil. And I did this once the hog was on the spit because it's a little hard to put the rub on while you're trying to wrestle the hog onto the spit. And then sprinkle with the remaining oregano rub. And what I'll do is just turn on the motor here, and I can continue brushing. The purpose of the olive oil is to help crisp the skin, and of course, the rub is going to reinforce that oregano flavor. With all this oregano aroma, I feel like I'm back in the Greek islands. Rake the coals a little thicker at the ham end and at the shoulder end, a little thinner in the middle. And for a smoke flavor here, we can toss on a couple of logs. Cooking time for a 50-pound hog is going to be about 5 hours. After 1.5 hours, I'll start basting the hog. You don't want to baste while the skin is still raw. You want it to be colored. The basting will help give you a beautiful shine and an extra crisp consistency. Meanwhile, here's how they do rib roast down in Brazil. I first tasted this Brazilian spit-roasted rib roast at a churrascaria in Rio de Janeiro called Porcão. Churrascaria, that's the Brazilian word for a barbecue restaurant. The grilling is done almost exclusively on spits. And what they do is they bring these sword-like spits with meat on them through the dining room, carve them directly onto your plate. Is there anything more spectacular than a sizzling spit-roasted rib roast? How about a sizzling spit-roasted rib roast stuffed with carrots, sausage, and cheese? This is a 4-pound rib roast, and I've trimmed most of the fat. What we're going to do is make a series of tunnels in the rib roast and stuff them with the flavorings. So start with a long, slender boning knife. Insert it in one end of the rib roast and run it out the other side. Next, using the handle of a wooden spoon, insert it in the slit to widen the hole. Now, take a strip of carrot, cut off one end so it enters the meat more easily, and insert it in the tunnel. Next, make another hole in the rib roast. You can give a little twist here to widen the hole. Now take a strip of hard provolone cheese, and you might want to brush the cheese with oil. That will help it go in the meat more easily. And you just kind of have to ease it through. And if you have a shortfall, you can just cut another little piece of cheese and insert it in the tunnel. We'll make one more tunnel for the sausage. Today I'm using kielbasa. Cut the end off the kielbasa and brush it with a little oil to help it slide in the meat easily. The kielbasa is a little difficult to insert, so get it in as far as you can. And then what you may need to do is cut another piece and insert it from the other side. You know, there are many variations on a theme of stuffed rib roast. For example, if you wanted to make an Italian-style stuffed rib roast, you could use Romano cheese, strips of pepperoni, and black olives. So just trim up the ends. Breathe a big sigh of relief. The hard part is over. Take a piece of butcher string, and you want to bring it about 1 inch from the end. Then loop it over once, pull it tight, and with your fingers pointing towards you, loop one end of the string over your finger, tuck your finger under, and tuck the end through. This creates a little slip knot that you can pull tight and cut off. I've given it a nice compact cylindrical shape that will help it cook more evenly. One last preparation, we're going to make a simple rub. It starts with salt, pepper, garlic powder, ground cumin, oregano, and sweet paprika. Mix these ingredients together with your fingertips, breaking up any lumps that may be in the garlic powder. To rub the roast, place it in another baking pan and just sprinkle the rub mixture on all sides, rubbing it into the meat. Hey, that's why they call it a rub. Don't forget to rub the ends. So here's your Brazilian-style rib roast, ready for skewering. Got one more surprise. In Brazil, barbecue restaurants are called churrascarias, and there's a famous one in São Paulo called Dinhos. At Dinhos, they like to serve spit-roasted onions with grilled meats. So what I'm doing is with a skewer, making a little starter hole in the onion. This will make it easier to put on the spit. Now you put the whole shebang on the spit. So here's the rotisserie spit, first prong in place, and we'll take an onion and slide it onto the spit, as you see here. Then place another fork on your rotisserie, slide it all the way down, and now you can spit your beef. Last of all, the other onion. Now, at a Brazilian churrascaria, the onion and the beef would be cooked on separate spits. Okay, so I've set up the grill for traditional rotisserie grilling, lit the rotisserie burner. It's an infrared burner positioned on the back of the grill. And if you want to give the grill a little extra firepower, you can light the outside burners. You both spit roasting with a little touch of indirect grilling. Now, take your stuffed rib roast and insert the end of the spit. You're going to be sure that this round piece is in the slot, and place a couple of drip pans under the roast. Switch on the rotisserie motor and close the grill. Spit roasting time about an hour and a half. It's been an hour and a half, and check out that rib roast. It looks done, but to be sure, you want to use your trusty instant read meat thermometer. Insert it into the deepest part of the roast, but not touching the metal spit. You're looking for about 145 degrees, and that's about where we are. You want to grab your grill gloves and remove the spit from the motor. You can take it over to your cutting board. Okay, and you can slide the onion off. And then using a carving fork, just sort of pull the spit out of the roast. And last of all, slide the remaining onion off the spit. You want to remember to take the trussing strings off the roast, so just snip each with a scissor and pull it off the roast. Now, you never want to cut into a roast the minute it comes off the grill. Let it sit for about 5 minutes and the meat will relax. It will be much more tender. So what you do is just slide it over to the side of the cutting board and tent it with foil to keep it warm. For the onions, what you want to do on the onions is cut them and I like to serve the onions right in the burnt skin. Just a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil and a sprinkling of coarse salt and black pepper. It's that simple. The meat has rested. Check it out. Now, to carve, you want to start at the narrow end. The meat will be a little bit more well done at that end. And remember, when you've gone to this much trouble, the presentation counts. Cut one more piece for myself here. Oh man, that is incredible. The onion has this wonderful caramelized flavor, and the beef is crusty on the outside and succulent inside. So there you have it, Brazilian spit roasted rib roast, cooked to a turn. It's been about an hour and a half, and you want to start mopping the hog. You can see the hog is starting to take on some color. Now, the purpose of the mop sauce is threefold. First of all, the oil helps crisp the skin, the rub and the lemon juice help flavor the pig, and the mop sauce keeps the meat moist during roasting. I first tasted grilled lamb ribs in Marrakesh, Morocco. This dish is actually an amalgam of several different dishes. Most Moroccan grilled lamb is seasoned simply, salt, pepper, maybe some cumin. But there's also something called a Berber marinade, named for a tribe that lives in the Atlas Mountains. When it comes to ribs, most of us don't think of lamb, and we certainly don't think of the rotisserie. Not so in Morocco, where spit-roasted lamb is a national obsession. Here's how we do it on Primal Grill, and it all starts with lamb ribs. Now, the lamb rib is actually cut from the lower part of the rib cage. Sometimes this is called a Denver cut. And the first step is to remove the brisket. That's this little flap of meat on the underside. And then the membrane. The technical name for this membrane is the pleura. So what you do is you locate it, and then using the point of an instant read meat thermometer, you just kind of lift it up and pry it loose in a couple of spots. Now, because this membrane's a little slippery, grab it with a paper towel and simply pull it off the back of the lamb ribs. It's not that the world will come to an end if you don't do this, but the membrane's a little tougher than the rest of the meat, and also it impedes the absorption of the spice and smoke flavors. In order to prepare the lamb for threading onto the spit, you want to make a slit with a paring knife once every 2 ribs. The marinade is called a Berber marinade. It starts with 1 onion, and then we'll add a few cloves of garlic, cut in half, fresh ginger, cut in sticks, freshly grated lemon zest, the oil-rich outer rind, and then sweet paprika, ground cardamom, which is a sweet spice, ground cinnamon, because in Moroccan cooking there's always a sweet element, ground coriander, salt, and freshly ground pepper. And what you'll do is puree these ingredients in a food processor. If you work in a processor, always process the dry ingredients first, and then add your liquids, freshly squeezed lemon juice and extra virgin olive oil. Now, take the Berber marinade, and what I like to do here is spread a little bit on the bottom of the baking dish. And then you can just sort of rub the ribs in the marinade. And spoon the remaining Berber spice paste on top. The Moroccan word for spit-roasted lamb is meshwi. I've set up the grill for classic rotisserie grilling. Lit the rotisserie burner. Also, because it's a little chilly out tonight, I've lit the outside burners on this grill, so we're actually going to be working with rotisserie burner and indirect grilling. Then take a couple of drip pans. Notice I've removed the grill grate. That's to give your ribs enough clearance to rotate. Set a couple of drip pans on the fire. Let me show you how to put the ribs on the spit. Now, step number 1, remember to put the first set of prongs on the spit. Then grab the lamb And the process, it's sort of a weaving process. Lock them in place with the forks, and then put on the second set of prongs, as you see here, and that'll hold the lamb ribs in place, keep them from spinning. Transfer the lamb ribs to the grill, then switch on the motor, and in order to keep the heat in, we'll close the grill. Cooking time here, about 40 minutes. The lamb ribs should be done. And the way you check is look at the ends of the bones. When the lamb is cooked, the meat will shrink back about 1/2 inch. You can see the exposed ends of the bones. Protect your hands. Remember, the spit will be hot. And pull it out of the motor socket. And you have to take the rotisserie spit apart, just like you put it together. And the easiest way to clean these prongs is to soak them in a bowl of soapy water. To serve the lamb, I like to cut it into 2 bone sections using a cleaver. A rib should be tender, but not fall off the bone tender. It should have a little chew to it. That's why God gave you teeth. And the sauce is called harissa. It's a fiery Moroccan pepper sauce. You'll find the recipe on the website. So, take a rib, squeeze a little lemon juice over it, a spoonful of harissa. That Berber spice paste is incredible. Here it is, our spit roasted pig in the style of the Greek islands. Let's see how we did. Nice.
Sweet.
Come on, everybody, dig in. Oh, man. Is there... Of course, we don't close the grill lid. Now, take the... Yeah.
You need the other forks, Stephen, first.
Woohoo! He doesn't miss a beat, does he?